because he's one of those guys that people are just like, man. I mean, they either have a strong opinion of him, they hate him, or they have a strong opinion, they love him. That's the way it is. Like if you ask Arn, he thinks Ole's great, loves him, has nothing bad to say about him.
Put my name on that list too.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
huge Ole fan. Huge Ole fan.
How come it's like that though? You either love him or you absolutely hate him. How come he's like that?
Well, I went to Crockett Promotions, I think in '71, and when I got there, Ole and Gene were the top tag team. And so I was around Ole, and I was, I was a little bit old. I wasn't a kid. Like I say, I was close to my 28th birthday. So I got kind of, for a young guy coming in, kind of got treated a little bit differently than, say, another young guy that was a lot younger in age. And I kept my mouth shut, and I was like a sponge, just wanting to absorb everything that I could, take the things that I thought applied to me, and just to be informed about everything. So I made a lot of trips with Ole, and Ole at that time, boy, he was big into the stock market, and he would spend all kinds of time charting stocks, and he took pride in wanting to take the money that he made in the business and put it to work for him. And he used to kind of make fun of guys who wanted to go out and impress the girls and spend a lot of money on clothing or buy fancy cars that they really couldn't afford. And I call that the myth, like in my book, because their wrestling fans would see you on television and say, "Oh, wow, you're on TV. You're a huge star. You must be a millionaire. You must be making all kinds of money." And a lot of the guys in the wrestling business, most of them, just made a living. And a lot of those same guys bought cars fancier than what they could really afford with the money they were making. And because they got wrapped up in what I call the myth, was they were trying to live up to an image of what the fans thought they would be, and spent every dollar to do it. And some guys ended up, their career was over and had nothing left to show for it, which was very sad. And
with Ole, it seemed like he was kind of against that Ric Flair style and those guys, that myth style. We're like, oh, I'm going to spend this amount of money. Was he completely against the Horseman style? When you think of the Horseman style, symbol of excellence, think of the Rolex watches, the limousines, the Jeff, all that kind of stuff. Was he against that style?
Well, he was his own. They used to say what did he say? He was the captain of his own ship, I think is what he used to say. And he just believed in you can be in this business and have a run, and a lot of times there's no guarantee of how long that run's going to last and how big it's going to become. And Ole was somebody who wasn't about dressing to impress other people. I remember he had I forget what kind of car it was, but I remember it had a convertible top, and it had like 200,000 miles on it. And he wasn't into having an image of the big fancy car. He was about making money in the business and saving every dollar that he could, and he was into tracking stocks and trying to take his money and make it work for him. So I really liked Ole. Like you say, guys either loved him or hate him, and most of them didn't like Ole, because Ole was not a politician. And unlike a lot of guys in the business that would tell somebody what they wanted to hear, Ole didn't sugarcoat anything. He told it like it was. And I had no problem with that. And so I became good friends with Ole, and I made a lot of trips with him. He used to travel a lot by himself because guys didn't want to travel with him. If we would ride in the car, and sometimes it'd be a relatively long trip, and he wouldn't be in the mood to talk, and neither would I, and we would ride a long distance and not say anything, and it wouldn't feel uncomfortable. It just, that's how it was. And if we got into a conversation about something, Ole would tell you how he felt. And with him, it was strictly a business. I want to make as much money as I can, and I want to save that money. And he had a lot of children that he had to support. and put towards their future. So just I have nothing but positive thoughts about Ole. And again, I had no problem with being around somebody that told you honestly how they felt and how it was. And I took the business seriously. I didn't. So I could go with Ole, and we could talk about anything. I wasn't really into the stock market like he was, but because I wasn't at the point yet where I had any kind of appreciable income for the business that I was worrying about how I was going to invest it. But he just was a good businessman, and to this day he's a good friend. The last time I saw him was a couple years ago. I had gone to I had my sister who was down at the South Carolina beach or something, and I was going down to Atlanta to see one of my other children driving down. And so I went to visit my sister on the beach, and then as I was driving across to go to Atlanta, it wasn't out of the way to make a point and of going by and seeing Ole, I think in Athens. And so, I called ahead of time, and Marcia told me that he was a creature of habit, and there was a place that he liked to go to every day and for lunch that had a buffet that was very much to his liking. Told me where it was and what time Ole would get there every day, and that's where I went and sat down with him, and and had a great lunch. And then they were used to Ole being there, and so we sat there probably for 2 hours after that, just having conversation. And I could talk to Ole forever just because he's got such a great mind.
It is funny, like how he it's weird. Away from TV and away from the cameras, he doesn't fit the group. But when you put him on TV, it's like he fits the group perfectly, and he was awesome for the group. And he was kind of the enforcer before Arn became the enforcer of the group. So it was really kind of a cool dynamic with those four, and then throw you obviously in there as well. Yeah. Isn't that crazy though? Away from TV, doesn't fit the group. On TV, fits like a glove.
Well, really, but if you also think about Flair used to talk about the limousine riding, high flying, jet flying, kiss stealing son of a gun. When Flair was doing interviews like that, I could say there with a little smirk on my face and Tully would be, but it didn't fit Ole. And so you didn't see Ole in that scenario very often because that wasn't Ole.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates.